Welcome to Video6. I'm going to not be all formal this time, Brad, because I want you on your game for this one. Video number 6 is the question we're going to be addressing is what is your platform? And what we mean by platform is what is the type of book you're going to be writing here? Hard copy, digital copy, combination thereof. And this is definitely your domain, Brad. So I want to turn it over to you and let's get a discussion going here on how do you choose? Or maybe you don't choose. Maybe you do all of the above, or maybe you just focus on one. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's a number of things to consider. So when we talk about platform, we talk about paperback, or digital, or audio. So
Right.
digital could be Kindle, PDF download that you have direct on your website with a payment option. It could be any of the device platforms, any kind of electronic delivery. Even like an app. Some people have been known to put their books right inside a mobile app, where the book content is the app kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, and then the last one is audio, right? A lot of people are doing the Audible type content, where they go into a studio and they read their book. And I think each one of these has its own pros and cons, and I think that there's a place for each of them. But I also think that you have to decide on an order. And I'll tell you that when I was doing this, as you know, if you're listening to this or you're watching this and you're planning to go through this process, you're probably like I was at the time before I launched my book. I was buying and reading and absorbing everything I could about this kind of stuff, right? I was going everywhere for advice. I would talk to someone for a half an hour that I didn't know, just to get one little snippet that I didn't have before. And I got a lot of bad advice along the way. And I'm not going to say that all advice is bad, that this is all bad advice for everybody, but for me it was bad advice, and I'll explain why, and maybe this helps you to figure out which one to do. For me, with my book, paperback was the only option. There was a couple of reasons for that. The main one being I've done lots of digital. My whole business is intangible digital ebook download PDF, bits that take up space on your hard drive that gets forgotten quickly. And I wanted some sort of real world tangible success to bank on, and I wanted something. I wanted to do something unique, and so I can't tell you how many very successful people said to me, if you want to become a bestseller, you need to publish your book on the Kindle and give it away for free for 72 hours.
I remember that. I remember you getting that advice half dozen or more times, even when I was just hanging out with you at events.
Because a lot of people were doing that at the time, and they were getting to that status. But guess what? I'm sorry, I hate to burst people's bubble here, and I have a lot of friends that are calling themselves this, and I get it. Like you want the status, and I get it. But if your book is a bestseller that's free, it's not a best seller. It's a best mover, right? It may be on a bestseller list on Amazon, and then you start charging money for it, so people see it there, and they're like, oh, that author did that. But to me, a bestseller has to sell to be a bestseller. That's just the way I look at it. So I couldn't do it because I wouldn't feel honest calling myself a best-selling author if I gave my book away. It just didn't seem honest.
That's a
And
good point. I wonder if people don't even maybe they don't even think about that.
they
Or they
don't.
just think it's semantics, maybe.
And in this day and age, it's pretty easy to call yourself a bestseller. If you really want to become a bestseller in a specific category,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, your book in Swahili large print, and stick it in that category, and no, or what ways to do that. But if you really want to hit some major lists, you've got to think more strategically, and you've got to actually think about how you're going to sell books. Because I wanted to get noticed by the traditional world of business and publishing. In the world that I operate in, I've already made a name for myself. I wanted to leverage out of that. So for me, bestseller had to be a paperback for a couple of reasons. One, because I wanted to become a bestseller, so I didn't want to launch paperback, Kindle, audiobook all on the same day and segment my sales into 3 different channels and not get bestseller anywhere,
Yeah.
right? I force it all through one channel. And I decided on paperback because for a couple of reasons. One, I did a 72-hour book launch where I gave bonuses to people who bought multiple copies of my book. We actually had people and companies buying 400 copies of my book at a time. And in order to do that, we were giving download bonuses away, or I would come and speak at your event, or I'll do this. Well, different things that we would give away for different levels of purchase. You can't do that on the Kindle. People can only buy one copy of your book on the Kindle,
Right.
right? They can't buy 100 and give. I mean, even you bought. You're a good friend of mine. I gave you a proof copy of my book early, and then you ended up giving it back to me so I could give away to somebody else. You went and bought a whole bunch of copies of my book and gave them away. So all kinds of people did that. So I increased my royalties and I increased my sales volume, which doesn't necessarily help your Amazon bestseller rank. We can talk about that as well. But I had the freedom to have multiple purchases from single purchasers when I only pushed it through that paperback channel.
Well, and there's also just something about having a physical product. Digital
Yeah,
products in general, I think we all kind of don't take them as seriously. We lose them on our hard drive, get to them later. If you have a book sitting there, you're not going to throw it out. You're going to use it, and you may even let somebody else, lend it to somebody else just because you want to share it with them. So it's going to serve you a lot better. Not to say that you shouldn't do a digital book, but in your case, it definitely made sense to do it that way.
you want to take a little real estate up in people's lives, right?
Well, yeah, it's a good rule of marketing.
To be in their faces. You don't want it to be forgotten on their hard drive or buried on their Kindle even, because books can get buried on the Kindle. And the other thing is that when my book started to get shipped out to customers, they were, because of the type of book it was, and it was provocative and it was fun and all those things, people were taking photos of the cover and taking photos of the book and doing videos of them unboxing the book. Again, all very powerful stuff. Nobody's going to do a video of them downloading the book and opening it on the Kindle.
It seems ridiculous, actually.
Yeah, it's
Look at me. I'm downloading Brad's newest book, and the download's complete.
and
Yeah.
now it's open.
Yeah, and now it's open. And now I'm going to get back to it later because I just got an email.
Yeah. And so that's the reason why I did paperback. And it was very successful for me for those reasons. And for me, it worked out really well because now I'm negotiating with a proper publishing company that wants to take over the digital publishing rights of my book only. They want to take that over. They want to do Kindle and iBooks and all the different bookstores all at once for me, and they're going to provide me with marketing services, and they're plugged into other business authors that I want to work with in the future. So it's kind of a good partnership for me. So holding back on that was actually a smart move in my case because I became a bestseller on the paperback channel. I got some legitimate interest from the publishing world, and now I have a publishing company that's looking to take this book digital for me. Not that I couldn't do it on my own, but again, the book isn't about the royalties, right? I'm not going to get rich off the royalties, so I don't mind splitting them with a publishing company if it means having a marketing arm in my back pocket and having access to other famous business authors that I admire that I may want to meet with or work with in the future.
Yeah, great advice there. So there you have
So,
it.
so the other thing is that if you do want to do a Kindle only book, that's also an option, and a lot of people are doing that now. If you're not planning to do a proper launch where you're doing multiples, the Kindle is still a good platform to launch your book. But I think if you want to do a proper bestseller campaign, paperback is still the better road.
Right. Well, it all makes sense, and I think everybody needs to take a serious look at that. But your case study or your example is definitely a reason for me, anyway, to probably want to start with the physical hard copy, paperback route first, and then look at other options like audiobook, which hopefully you consider doing one day for yours too, Brad.
So this is something I'm going to do.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you in the next video.